One day, I was out exploring an area of Lost Creek we call the Chaparral. I noticed some fresh dirt pouring down a bank. It was coming out from under the gnarled roots of an old white pine tree, and from what I could see, there was a sizable hollowed out area underneath. I climbed up the bank to take a closer look. Something had dug out a large cavity. It sure looked like the makings of a den, and based on the size of it, I was thinking either fox or a coyote. I decided it would be a great opportunity to set up a trail cam and possibly capture the entire process in the spring. I used a battery pack with a solar panel so I could leave it alone for an extended period of time. I knew fox and coyotes are extremely wary and will abandon a den site at the first sign of humans. I came back in 2 months just to make sure everything was working properly. In order to not leave any additional scent, I would not come back again until after spring. The trail cam showed me who the diggers were, a mated pair of coyotes. They seemed to be skeptical and did not enter the den. Perhaps they could still pick up my scent, or maybe the infrared light from the trail cam was spooking them. I could only hope that they would still use this den in the spring when their pups were born. I did not return to check the trail cam until May, and when I did, I was startled by what I thought was a partridge flying off, but then I realized it was a mallard hen. I was pleasantly surprised to find her nest at the base of the tree my trail cam was on. This was truly a spectacular find. Mallard hens are masters of camouflage, making it incredibly rare to find a nest. I would have never found this one had it not been for my trail cam here. It was an impressive clutch with 11 eggs in all. I decided to take advantage of the situation and relocate my trail cam so it would view the nest. I was hoping to capture some interesting video of her hatching her brood. Normally, the hen would cover her eggs before leaving the nest, but when flushed away by a threat, she does not have the time. Since I didn't know how long it would take her to return, I covered the eggs for her. I had no idea just what a spectacle was about to unfold before me. It wasn't long before I captured the hen's first challenge, a raven, and it's a big one. Ravens are one of the most intelligent birds in the world, and this one is trying to figure out how to put duck eggs on the menu. Who knew that ducks could fight? The raven is relentless as it tries to draw the hen off the nest long enough to snatch an egg. But the duck is fast and fiercely stands her ground, driving the raven off with each attempt. The assault lasts for over 3 minutes, but eventually the raven gives up and the mother is triumphant. The next day brings some peace and quiet, but the mother duck has to deal with a light drizzle that makes things miserable. She stays the course and provides a warm, dry environment for her precious clutch of eggs. The effectiveness of her camouflage is in full display as she remains motionless, making her virtually impossible to see by the casual passerby. Eventually, she must leave the nest to drink and feed, but only after covering her eggs to keep them warm in her absence. Within a half hour, she returns and does some preening before settling in for the night. In the wee hours of the night, something spooks her, and she is forced to flee from the nest, leaving the eggs uncovered and unprotected. We soon find out what spooked her. A coyote has found the nest. This is one predator that she cannot fight. If she did, she would end up becoming a meal herself. Surely, this is the end of her eggs. But the coyote is hesitant. I can only assume that the infrared light from the trail cam is scaring him away and ultimately saves the eggs. At some point, she returns to the nest, but somehow is able to do it without triggering the trail cam. After she settles in, she has a visitor. The chipmunk does not represent a threat and passes by without issue. Brooding a clutch of eggs requires a great deal of patience and dedication. Some housekeeping is a great way to pass the time. Occasionally, she must rotate the eggs to maintain even temperature distribution across the clutch and ensure proper embryo development. And just when she thinks she can finally relax, guess who shows up? He pesters her for almost an hour, but she drives him off each time. Eventually, he gives up and allows her to get back to the brooding. Again, something spooks her in the middle of the night, causing her to abandon the nest. This time the culprit goes unidentified. An hour later, she returns to the nest and settles back in. But later that day, she is spooked again and takes off, leaving the nest unguarded. We soon see who the culprit is. A fisher. This is really bad news. It is cautious at first, as it checks out the area to make sure there are no threats. Eventually, it takes the first egg. "10 minutes later, it returns for another one. It's more than likely that this is a female, and she's taking the eggs back to her den to feed her young. "20 minutes later, she is back for another one. "10 minutes later, another one. And another. Making all these trips in 80-degree temperatures is causing her to work up a real sweat. An hour has passed, and only one egg is left. Is it possible that one egg might be spared? Will Mrs. Duck have one egg left to brood after all her hard work? Not a chance. The opportunist's persistence has finally paid off as it snatches the last remaining egg. Two days later, the raven returns to check for any eggs that might have been missed. It returns again the next day, just to make double sure there are no eggs left. It's not until the next day that the mother duck finally returns to check on her nest, only to find it totally empty. After one last desperate search, the mother duck realizes it's a lost cause. All is not lost, though. There's still time to lay a new clutch, and hopefully have better luck next time. Perhaps now you'll have a better understanding of how difficult it is for a mother duck to to successfully hatch a brood of eggs. I know I do,